Hello everyone, my name is Kwame Ogero. I am a seed system scientist at the International Potato Center. Today I'm going to take you through rapid multiplication of sweet potato seed in open nurseries. The first question I would ask is, what do we mean when we say sweet potato seed? In most regions, especially in the tropics, a sweet potato is propagated through the vine cuttings. But when you go to temperate regions where there is a long winter period, it's propagated through storage roots, which are later sprouted to produce vine cuttings. In my presentation, I will focus on rapid multiplication for the vine cuttings. I will go through several topics, starting with planning your seed multiplication, then go to site selection. I will look at bed preparation, planting of your seed, irrigation, harvesting and transportation, quality management generally, but narrowing down to management of sweet potato weevils and nematodes. Key things to ask yourself when you are planning seed multiplication is, how are the seasons in your area? What time do farmers start planting sweet potato seed? What is the multiplication rate of your varieties? And what quantities of the seed are required? With these, then you can work backwards to know the quantity of starting material you will need. My colleagues took you last week through greenhouse production. So we expect that when you go to the open field, you get your clean material from the greenhouse. So by having a multiplication plan, you will know how many planting material you are going to source from a greenhouse. The plan also helps you to know when to begin your seed production. Understanding the seasons is important because it helps you know the timing when seed is required. So for instance, if farmers you will start planting in September, then it means you will begin multiplying your seed 4 months earlier. That is around May, yeah, if late, about June there. The multiplication plan is very good, and it helps you, calculate your starting material, but also it outlines all the activities that you're going to do. Who is going to do those activities and how much are they going to cost? So it's also kind of a budgeting tool. The other thing when you're doing seed production, actually the first one is, after planning, you look at site selection. The key factors to consider is water availability and soil fertility. Nitrogen is very crucial in sweet potato seed production, and water is very important because sometimes, most of the time, seed is produced during the dry period, because that's when the root crop is not in the field. Other factors you need to consider include security of your field, accessibility. You don't want to produce seed in areas where you cannot access. The crop history. This is very important in management of the pests and the diseases. Avoid areas where sweet potato was grown the previous season. Your land should also be large enough to allow rotation and isolation of fields. The other thing to consider is the national land laws, because there might be restrictions on use of some areas, for instance, areas that are near water bodies. You should also avoid areas that are prone to flooding. The next step after site selection, you do land preparation, and then you go to bed preparation. For rapid multiplication, we recommend narrow beds that are 1.2 meters wide and 6 meters long. These are very easy to manage. So you leave a space of 0.5 meters between the beds, as is shown on the photo there on the left side. And this space is to kind of give you some pathway that you can use when you're walking through to manage or to harvest your seed. And after preparing your bed, you need to mix with well decomposed organic manure. As I mentioned, nitrogen is very important, and you can get this from organic manure. The length of the bed can be modified depending on your needs and local conditions. When you look at the right side there, the photo at the bottom, you can see those beds are very long, but the width is still 1.2 meters because the width of 1.2 meters is good for management, but the length can vary depending on your needs. When it comes to planting, the rapid multiplication technique uses close spacing, 20 centimeters between rows and 10 centimeters between plants. You can see there on your left side down there, it's the plants are planted at 20 centimeters, between the rows, and it will be 10 centimeters between the plants. So we use short cuttings, which are 3 to 4 knots, and 2 knots are usually buried into the soil and 1 knot left out to sprout. So if you leave 10 meters from the edges of your bed, you will have 5 rows, and each row will have a plant population of 60 plants. And if you multiply this by 5, it means your bed will have 300 plants. This technique is after getting a lot of vine cuttings. So here you are not, your intention is to not to get the storage roots, and eventually you will get a lot of planting materials, but then you will not have storage roots being produced under the soil. After planting, you need to label your plots clearly with the name of the variety, the date of planting, source of planting material, and also to avoid spread of to avoid growth of weeds, you can apply a mulch of rice husks as shown on the right side there. Check the establishment rate regularly and fill in end gaps so that at the end of the day you have optimal plant population. The photo there on the left, those are plants that are about 2 weeks old, while on the right there you have a well established field that is about 40 to 50 days old. Watering is very important, as I had already mentioned. So if you are producing on a large scale, consider to having a drip irrigation system, but lay the drip lines carefully to avoid interfering with the seed beds. Use hand irrigation with water green cans if the scale of production is small. The sweet potato vines will be ready for harvesting after 6 to 8 weeks. This is depending on management. If they were watered properly and there was enough, the soil was fertile, then about even 6 weeks you can be able to harvest your vines. So you should cut the vines at 10 to 15 centimeters above the ground, and then you subdivide this into cuttings that are about 25 to 30 centimeters long, so 5 to 7 centimeters long, 5 to 7 knots, as you can see on the photo there on the right hand up. And then it's recommended that you harvest during the cool hours of the day, early morning or late afternoon, to avoid desiccation. And when it comes to mode of transportation, this really depends on the quantity. If you have small quantities, this can be packed into crates and put even on a scooter, or if the quantities are large, maybe talking of more than 100,000, then you can arrange them in a lorry. You can use a lorry or a tractor to transport. And 2 harvests, the second harvest can be done after 40 days, but depending on management of the of the crop. So if you water well and ensure that you can apply after harvest, after the first harvest, you can apply fertilizers like urea that are nitrogenous, and then water well, then you are able to harvest after 40 days again. When it comes to management of seed quality, there are several things you need to look at. Actually, you want to ensure that your seed at the end of the day is very clean, the quality is maintained, there are no viruses, there are no weevils, and there are no other diseases. The first thing is to ensure that your seed farms are isolated from other farms producing sweet potato. Start with clean seed from a trusted source, preferably from a greenhouse. Do regular inspection for virus symptoms. Remove any infected plants, and do crop rotation. Also, the other things to ensure is proper soil fertility management, weeding, and irrigation. We also have formal quality assurance mechanisms. These are based on formal certification processes. It may be, these vary from one country to another. Several countries have approved regulations governing production of vegetatively propagated seeds, including sweet potato. And these were largely drawn from FAO quality declared planting material guidelines. And these are usually enforced by your regulatory body. So if Vietnam has standards for sweet potato seed production, then it means you need to work with the regulatory authority to ensure that the quality of the seed is maintained. I will go to specific on weevil management. My colleagues covered virus management. Weevils are a major pest problem in sweet potato production, and you need to manage this from the time you are producing your seed. So the sweet potato weevil burrows into the sweet potato and eventually lays its eggs there. The larvae will feed on the root, and this will compromise the quality of your roots. And I guess most of you must have seen this. So you need to manage this properly. Control strategies include healing up of the soil around the roots to protect, to cover any cracks, because usually the weevils enter into the soil using cracks on the ground. So when you heal up the soil, then you are preventing entry of these weevils. Practicing crop rotation, so not repeating cultivation on the same area where you cultivated last season. Field sanitation by destroying volunteer plants and old plants. Using clean planting material, ensure that you cut your planting material at least 15 centimeters above the ground. Timely harvesting, because weevils are common during the dry period, they live dry conditions. So ensure that you harvest before the dry season sets in. And maintain isolation distances between sweet potato fields. And lastly, irrigation, reliable irrigation, because as I said, weevils prefer dry conditions. So if your seed plots are during the dry season, then or dry conditions set in, then you need to irrigate. I will go to the management of sweet potato nematodes. Nematodes are not common in most of the countries, but I guess you might have experienced them, so I will cover them also. The first nematode that is most important and occurs worldwide is the root knot nematode, and this causes some galls on storage roots and cracking of the storage roots, therefore reducing the quality of the storage roots. And the plants also get stunted, so eventually you are reducing the quality and the yield. Controlled strategy include field sanitation, rotation with maize or sorghum. Cut your vines 10 to 15 centimeters above the soil. Use clean planting material. And when the condition is very serious, you can use nematicides. There are some fumigants that have been recommended, for instance, metam sodium, which can be broadcast, or as subsurface treatment prior to planting. Sweet potato can also be affected by the lesion nematode, which causes up to 30% yield losses, and this causes necrotic brown lesions on the storage roots. So you are compromising the quality of the roots, and they might not be good for the market. You can control this through field sanitation. Use of organic amendments, that's like manure, can lead to an increase in the nematodes' natural enemies, therefore reducing its population. Crop rotation has been shown not to be very effective for these nematodes due to a very wide range of hosts. But still, there are some rotation crops such as peanut, French marigold. So yeah, this can be considered, but really it has been shown that this nematode has a wide range of hosts. Nematicide can also be used if the problem is very serious. Also, the other control strategy include use of resistant varieties, use of clean planting materials. The third nematode is rainform nematode, which causes 44 to 60% yield losses. This one causes the death of the fibrous roots and cracks on storage roots. So also the quality, you can see that the quality of the roots is actually compromised. The nematode can also be controlled through field sanitation, a rotation with non-host crops such as maize, sorghum, sugarcane, rice, using of clean planting material. Nematicides can also be used when the problem is serious, and some of the fumigants used include metam sodium. Non-fumigant nematicide include ethroprop and oxamil. Ethroprop is applied on the soil before planting, whereas oxamil is used to treat the planting material. Lastly, we have the stem nematode or brownling. This causes 20 to 50% losses, but it's during storage. This does not occur in the field. So it sets in during storage and leads to browning or black tissue forming within the flesh of the storage roots. So the decaying may continue due to secondary infections with bacteria or the fungi, and the roots are mostly affected during storage at temperatures of 22 to 27 degrees. So control strategies include maintaining proper storage temperature, 13 to 19 degrees is appropriate, using of tolerant varieties, and using of clean planting material. Thanks a lot for listening to me, and we are open for questions and discussion. Thank you.